All right, all right, all right. Let's go ahead and get things started.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Happy New Year, for everybody around the world. New year, new me. I hope everybody is, the people like to say the contrary, like, oh, stop saying New Year, new me. I actually would. I used to think that way as well, but I would rather now say new. I want people to embrace that. I want you to really be a new year and new me, because I really feel like this is the year that, if, as long as you apply that action, man, a lot of things are gonna change for you. I just wanted to start that off because, of course, me going through social media just as much as everybody else has social media stuff like that, right? They see that, oh, this new year, new me stuff. I'm like, yeah, this actually, it's a good thing as long as you apply it. Long as you apply the action, as long as you stay consistent, as long as you stick with the plan, it will be a new year, and it would be a new you. You just got to stick to it. And even when you might mess up one or two times, just get back up and try again. So I need to put the volume down on this music before I get started. All right, so with that being said, guys, I just wanted to say that real quick. Let's go ahead and hop onto this analysis. And before I do continue, for those who are tuning in on YouTube, please do like and leave a subscribe if you are not subscribed to the channel already. Appreciate it. Now, that being said, let's go over fundamental analysis. As I usually say, every time that I do an analysis, I say, hey, I am not necessarily a fundamental analysis trader. I just like looking at the news so that I could know what's gonna be times where I could expect some type of volatility in the market. That's how I usually feel about the markets, and depending on certain types of what the news is, I might not even be looking to take any trades if I'm already in some trades. So today, or Tuesday, Tuesday is when, like, the news is going to really start on the 4th. We have all day OPEC JMMC meetings. That's for oil traders. I don't usually trade oil, but that's for oil traders. 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have manufacturing PMI and JOLTS job openings for the U.S. dollar. Wednesday, 7:15 a.m. We have U.S. dollar with the ADP non-farm employment change, and also FOMC meeting minutes. Definitely want to watch out for that FOMC meeting minutes. I'm pretty sure it's not the actual FOMC. It's just, you just want to watch out for that. 9 a.m. on Thursday, USD services PMI, and Friday, January 7th, for the Canadian dollar and the U.S. dollar, you have employment change and unemployment rates. The U.S. dollar, we call it the non-farm payroll, NFP, and unemployment rates. And so that is the news for this week. A lot of USD news, and I like to see that because we are seeing some action on the U.S. dollar. So I'm gonna go ahead and go onto the monthly time frame, and I'm gonna go ahead and just start off with a fresh chart overall. Right, start off with a fresh chart. I have the 50 EMA on my screen. Let me get ahead and actually get a full screen here. Okay, so 50 EMA chart. We have price currently is overall like in a weekly zone right here, right, where we see that price is just consolidating in between this zone up here and this zone down here, using it as resistance and support. And we see that price has just been going in and out of this 50 EMA on the monthly time frame. Last month, or not last month, but the previous month, we had a bullish US dollar, right? We had a bullish DXY that pushed price to the upside and left the wick up here. Now, this next month over here, I like seeing this candle. This looks like a shooting star to me. After seeing such a big engulfing candle like that, wasn't necessarily a month that I was looking to say, hey, I want to start selling heavy here. Not until I start to see something else on the lower time frames. I didn't want to start to sell heavy there. But right now I'm seeing some tweezer top action, and I'm also seeing this shooting star to the downside. Now, the only thing that I am a little iffy about is let me go ahead and draw this out first, and then I'll go ahead and make this much more clear. All right. And I need to change this template. Oops. Sorry, guys. Alright, so I was saying that, hey, from these lows to these highs, although there's some equal lows down here, from the high of 102.958 to the low of 89.164 on the monthly time frame, price still has some moves that it can make to the upside to be retracing up to this zone here, right? There is the possibility of price still coming up into this supply zone, if you will, because that's where supply did kick in on the monthly time frame to push price to the downside, even though that was during COVID, like when the beginning of COVID happened. That was when this push started to happen to the downside. Had a double bottom down here, price pushed to the upside. I'm not necessarily too crazy about trying to sell over here. Not so crazy. And the only reason why I am not that crazy about it is because I still think that price could come up to the likes of 98.95 or something like that. Going on to the weekly time frame, however, when I'm looking at these bearish candles back to back, I mean, it's not an engulfing candle necessarily, but seeing those bearish candles after seeing such a bullish move, like price has been so bullish, and then the past couple of weeks it's just been consolidating, and now it's at these current lows. I would definitely like for price to come back down. Let me actually change this. I would actually not be so and I've said this but I've said this a couple of times. I wouldn't be so hesitant to try to see if price, or not hesitant, but I wouldn't mind seeing price coming down to 92.935 or the likes of this down in this zone before coming back up to then see if price is gonna like make higher highs, right? Because realistically speaking, well, not on the weekly necessarily, but on the daily time frame, you can definitely see that price is making higher highs and higher lows. Like once it broke through this zone on the daily time frame, yeah, I'll consider this a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Price has been making higher highs and higher lows. But again, the way how I'm looking at it on the weekly time frame, I would want to see some type of retracement go down before price continues on up to 98.958. That's that's basically what I would want to see on a longer term type of play. I need to stop saying but anyways, I kind of see this play here where price could potentially come down to 94.339, but I'm not going to play that. I'd rather play it way safer than that and wait for pricing to the likes of 93.428 to be seeing any type of potential buying opportunities on the DXY. I'm not really too crazy about playing in it right now, because right now it's just consolidating in this box, although it is showing some type of it is showing that it might be looking for a push to the downside currently, but right now it's just in this box. Give me a second. I just want this to be a demand. So, yeah, we just have this like box that price is consolidating in, And I've been saying, hey, if you're gonna be looking for sells, there might have, like right over here was a good time to get into a sell. I mean, it's if you're gonna be playing in a range, you want to sell when price is high, and then you want to buy when price is low, right? So currently, right now, price is at these lows where the 50 EMA on the daily time frame is starting to like straighten out. At this point, I wouldn't want to buy this either. I'm not necessarily looking to get into a sell, but I do want to see price go bearish. But I'm not looking for a buy either, right? Because although yes, price has been consolidating in this zone for a couple of weeks now, I would at this point kind of want to see what price is gonna do right here. Because at the end of the day, all I really see is equal lows. And if price is gonna go bullish, it's gonna do something like this, right? That's all I basically see. If price is gonna go bullish, for price to push down, go back and go make a breakout to the upside, breaking previous lower highs. Which, if you go onto the 4-hour time frame, this is the previous structure that would need to get broken in order for me to say that, okay, yes, I believe that this might start to go bullish, right? I'm not even going to give price the benefit of the doubt for down over there. I'm going to say right here is where I really want price to break out of. I want to see price really break out of this zone, because right here we can see that price was like, just look at it on the 4-hour, right? We see that there's a whole bunch of rejections up here, and then price pushed up to the upside, but then left a huge wick like a shooting star, and then started dropping, pushing to the downside, right? So again, if I'm gonna be looking for buy opportunities, which I'm really not this time, is I would have to see something like this, where price does something very similar, where it fakes out to the downside, then breaks out, retest, and continuation to the upside. But again, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is, at this point, for price to break out of this zone. I want price to break out of this zone, and then once it does, I want to see what the retracement is going to look like. I like that the 4-hour time frame, the 50 EMA is under it. I like seeing that a lot. So I want to see, after price breaks out of this zone, is what's the retracement going to look like, and up to what zone is going to get to before I decide to sell it, right? One can say that on the daily time frame, yeah, it does look like a bullish flag, but after moves like this, I would still want to see some type of retracement to the downside before I look to even buy it. So if it goes bullish from here, just bouncing off this 50 EMA goes bullish, by all means, it's all good. I missed the trade, or I missed the opportunity. I just have to wait out and get into another opportunity. But I feel like this flag might get broken, especially with the way how price came up over here and left this wick. That's where we had initially gotten that opportunity to look for the sell opportunity on USD related pairs like Euro USD, or buy opportunity pairs on like Euro USD. But yeah, again, this is basically what I'm seeing at this point. I'm not really trying to get into anything at the moment. I'm gonna let the dust settle a little bit. Let me go on over to arbitrage and see what my indicator has to say. Same thing, I'm gonna delete everything. Okay, so first of all, daily time frame is calling for a sell, but let me go on over to the monthly time frame on this indicator real quick. So, and I'm gonna have to give you guys a link so that you guys can, for those, I'm gonna provide the link for those who don't still quite understand all the terminology, especially for those in DeFi domination. I'm pretty sure you guys don't, but I'll like drop a link to so that you guys can be able to go check that video out, so you guys can understand what I'm talking about in this indicator. But overall, monthly time frame, price is currently above the RSI line and the mean line, and so that's kind of telling me that I would not necessarily want to look for selling opportunities. Although price did call for a sell down there, I would never have called that, but it makes sense because the compass line crossed through the RSI line. That's what triggers that sell. But weekly time frame, I have been saying, hey, price had rejected off of this third deviation right here, and it's been consolidating since. And right now, it's currently under the second deviation. You can barely see it. But I do want, again, I want to see price fall down. I'm starting to see blue candlesticks, so that's telling me that, hey, bearish pressure might be coming into the market. Daily time frame, as I said, it is calling for a sell. Usually, I would want something like this to play out, where we get the breakout. Oops, hold on, give me a second. A breakout and the retest of this RSI line, of this black line right here. I'd want the retest of that before continuing to the downside. But I mean, hey, overall, like I said, I want to see price push to the downside. After how many weeks we finally got some action on arbitrage, giving us some type of indication. Not everything is quite lined up yet, which is why I'm more looking for some type of retracement to the upside before trying to get into this sell opportunity. So we're gonna see what happens with that. The 4-hour time frame is called for a sell, but I would not have gone into that because of where the sell was called at. But overall, price did push lower to the downside. Would not have gone into any of this because it's a consolidating market. Whenever I see a consolidating market like this, I don't necessarily touch it. I'm like, I'd rather stay away. So, and same thing with the 1 hour time frame. It was consolidating, so I didn't really pay attention that much to trading at all last week. To be quite honest with you, I didn't even look at my MT4 until Friday evening or Friday afternoon, right before the market closed. So that's for the DXY. So let's go on over to Euro USD. Alright, so this buy play that was talked about how many weeks ago is still playing out pretty nicely. That's good. Do what thou will with that trade. I'm going to go ahead and mark everything off and go on over to the monthly time frame. So monthly, it's it's not even kind of the same as what the DXY looks like. Well, it's the inverse of what the DXY looks like, right? We had some bearish price action, whereas the opposite is for the DXY, it was bullish. And then now we're seeing some tweezers, like supposedly now, like it doesn't look like tweezer bottoms here, but this long wick and then that hammer. I like seeing a hammer like that after prices dropping like that. You know, that means to tell me, hey, there might be some type of there might be some type of reversal or retracement going on that time frame. So I want to see overall the price, at least, to say the least, come up to the 50 EMA before I even give me a second. Let me put do not disturb on my phone because I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to hear my phone vibrate all the time. Sorry for those who are texting me on Telegram, but can't concentrate on that. But anyways, I definitely would want to see at least price come back up to this 50 EMA to see how it's going to interact with it. It's been like flirting around with it on the monthly time frame. Weekly time frame, price had made a double top over there. I had mentioned that there's the same thing as I was saying with the DXY, right? Like, it's just that with Euro USD, it's kind of different because it's actually came and touched the 60. It's actually come and touched the 61.8, whereas with the DXY, it hasn't gone up to that 61.8 or 71% quite yet. So that's why I'm kind of like with the DXY and Euro USD, it's kind of iffy because I still would want to see if price is going to continue falling with EU. I have no problem with 1.11400 getting hit before I start to look for some buying opportunities on the DX, not the DXY, on Euro USD. Let me go ahead and change this color. Oh, that's for text. I did not want that. There we go. So 1.11400 is still an area of interest to me on Euro USD. 71% position. And I put position, I mean like as a position trade, because if someone were to try to like buy this, like the way how I trade, then you would be in this trade for more than a couple of weeks. You'd be in this trade for like probably a couple of months, if anything. Maybe not. I mean, maybe up until. So this is in between June to December. Price might get up here. Maybe in May again, if you're looking for buy opportunities. If the market is going to move like that at all, the market might not even give that to you, so you don't want to even try to have that type of insight at this point in time, especially if you're not a position trader. So again, 1.11400 is an area where I'm looking at still on the higher time frames. I have that marked off. Euro USD, kind of, not even kind of, it looks similar to how the DXY looks, right? Where it's in this zone that has been consolidating in for weeks. Well, it's not even consolidating necessarily. Price just pushed down here, then retraced up, did a retracement down to that 78.6 Fibonacci zone, then made a push to the upside, right? It's not really consolidation because price never came down back to these equal lows. It just made a low and then pushed to the upside. Daily time frame wise, right now it's currently right under the 50 EMA, and it looks like it's rejecting off of that. So that's not necessarily to be unexpected, right? That's not is not something that is unexpected. It's like, hey, especially if it's the beginning of the market, I don't think price is necessarily just gonna keep blowing by. It could. It's not saying that it wouldn't, but not at this point in time, right? Still has these highs that it needs to break through, and it hasn't done that quite yet. So it's still gonna have to be patient to see what the market's gonna do. But overall, just like I said with the DXY, the inverse, I want to see EU breakout, retest, and then when that retracement happens, that's when I'll be looking for buying opportunities. And hey, even if price doesn't do this and it decides to sell, I'll be looking for buy opportunities once price comes down to 1.11400, right? But as of right now, again, I'm more looking for, I'm not looking to try to catch a bottom, but prices dropped for so long that at this point I need to see some type of long-term retracement, even if it's just from this high that happened back in May of 1.22700 to down to 1.11966. If I'm gonna be looking to sell this longer term, I'm probably gonna want to see what 1.19592 looks like if price gets up there and hits there before I look to sell again, right? Yeah, I could say that, oh, what about this play right here, where from the high of 1.16868 to down here, the retracement, yeah, that's probably where price is gonna head up to before it starts to show some type of rejections to push to the downside. But again, I'm just looking at it from, I want to see where it's going on a longer term type of play. So I'm not necessarily going to be looking for sells when price gets over here, although it is looking like a bearish market. But the mere fact that price has just been consolidating like this for so long, and then it's finally looking like it's pushing to the upside, I don't think that it's necessarily going to continue pushing to the downside. But again, if it does, I'd rather wait for 1.11400 to get hit and look for buys if this doesn't play out, like, that's just how I'm looking at it at this point. But other than that, I mean, if you would want to sell it from these highs, you could. I mean, if I were to sell it anywhere, it would be here. It's just, again, equal highs are right here. Oops. Equal highs are right here. So was the likelihood of price just coming up here and wicking you out whereas these equal highs are, and then pushing back to the downside. That's why I'm not necessarily too eager in trying to get into a buy position right here. I'd rather buy low and sell high than buy high and sell low. I mean, yeah, like I would rather buy high and sell low. Exactly, I said what I said. So, I'm gonna wait on and see what happens with EU. Let me go on over to arbitrage and see what that's talking about. So, monthly time frame. Let me get rid of this. Price I called for a buy up here. I would not have gone into that, and confirmations are starting to point to the downside on the monthly time frame. It's under the RSI line, so that's something that I'm definitely going to be watching for. Weekly time frame, price hasn't really done anything except for reject off of the third deviation, and now is currently over the second deviation. So gonna be watching for that as well. This daily time frame is pretty optimistic though about the buys. I like seeing this. Starting to see green candlesticks. That means that bullish pressure is coming into the market. It's not quite confirmed yet over here on the level pro. It's still at ground zero, and same thing over here with arbitrage Z. Price is under ground zero, so it's not fully confirmed yet. So I'm gonna be waiting to see if we can get this retracement right here. Ooh, it feels like my mouse is about to die. So that's probably like giving me a 3-hour warning. But yeah, I like the opportunities for price to go bullish. Like I really do like those opportunities. So if price comes back down, probably like 1.13287. I mean, I'm pretty sure throughout the week I'll be able to find some type of opportunity. But this is all I'm gonna be giving on this weekly analysis. I don't want to set up anything and then I feel like price is gonna do something totally different. 4-hour time frame, price was consolidating. I would not have played into that, and more than likely the 1 hour is going to resemble the same thing. Yep. So yeah, when consolidating markets, I don't usually like playing off of arbitrage, so I'm gonna go ahead and wait for that daily time frame, because that is what looks like a higher probability play. I'll see what the lower time frames are talking about once we get there, but until then, I'm gonna keep it kosher. Or not kosher, I'm gonna keep it just like in the middle. I'm not gonna have really any type of say in it. Alright, so AUD USD. AUD USD monthly time frame. A long wick to the downside, and then price pushed back up, looking like a large. That doesn't even look like a hammer to me. It just looks like a large candle with, a large body candle with a large wick. We could argue and say that, hey, price came down to this zone. I'll even make it lower because I'm more than certain on some time frame that is more than just a wick. But you can make that argument and say that, hey, price rejected off of this zone here, pushed to the upside. This candle is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? After the previous month, with that huge bearish engulfing candle like that, and then I have a candle printout like this, it's kind of giving me mixed feelings about what the monthly time frame is trying to tell me. Especially if it just came down to this wick, to this bottom and dropped a wick like this. Maybe price is going to do something very similar to right here, where it retraces and then goes bullish. It's not going to, because the close is down here and then the close is up here for this pricing. So definitely going to be interesting to see what AUD USD is going to do on that monthly time frame. So we'll check that out next month and see what that is talking about. Weekly wise, I want to just draw out this trend on AUD USD before I get over to the smaller time frames. Ooh, what is SPX talking about? I probably already know. But overall, on the weekly time frame, prices like right now, as of right now, right? Price is making higher highs, higher lows on the I mean, it's more on the daily time frame to me than on the weekly. Personally, I feel like the weekly still has like, because from these lows down here back in March to these highs, there's a structure that price still hasn't broken through necessarily. And so that's why I'm like, it's broken through. It's broken through this structure right here, where it left that huge wick at. And remember, I was saying that I'm pretty sure on some time frame that's not a wick. It just so happened to be the weekly time frame. Again, when I'm seeing that it just reject off of there, it's still kind of telling me that AUD/USD is still bullish. You know, it's still pretty bullish. And especially with the rebound like that, it's just I don't necessarily think that this is broken through. I mean, yeah, it's broken through the 50 EMA, but it hasn't broken through this structure here yet to tell me that, okay, yes, it really is gonna be going bearish longer term. So right now at this point in time, what I'm really waiting on is to see what AUD/USD is gonna do once it gets over here to this zone. Once it gets over here to my well, I mean, this is where supply kicked in, right? This is where supply kicked in. Once price comes into the supply zone, that's when I'm gonna be like, hey, I want to see what price is gonna do, if it's gonna hold at this area or if it's gonna break through that trend line for it to then continue pushing to the downside. So, gonna be watching for that. I need to stop saying That's a habit I'm trying to break. That's one of my goals, to stop saying But I definitely do want to see what price is gonna do here. But I do see the likelihood of 0.76377 or 0.77060. I still see those likelihoods to be playing out longer term, so that's something that I'm going to be definitely watching for. But overall, I would say that this next supply zone on AUD/USD will be my best bet for watching. Don't know why I said it again. Price has been consolidating over here on the 4-hour time frame, but that could do just basic. The market's closing. Price does look like it might be making a rising wedge, and it's not. It looks more like a channel to me than a rising wedge, personally. And with that being said, that this looks more like a bullish flag than a rising wedge, in my personal opinion. So I would rather wait to see a break of this to the downside before I say, okay, that this is not a bullish flag. But until then, I really do feel like there's more of a retracement to happen with AUD/USD before it starts to continue going bullish up into the zone. However, I cannot ignore that price really did come down from these lows, from the low of 0.69942 to the highs of 0.72240. Price did come and tap my 61.8 Fibonacci level. And so once I saw that, I'm like, oh, if price continues going bullish, there wouldn't be any surprise there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if price really broke through this and then hit these extensions. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. But at the same time, since I don't necessarily want to play this right here, I'm just going to be patient and wait to see what the market does. You know? There is this zone that price is also rejecting off of. So, again, I would definitely just want to see what AUD is going to do, AUD/USD is going to do, before I try to play off of it. It's not even one of my favorite pairs to trade. I just like to trade it because it's that mix of the Australian dollar and the US dollar. But I'm not really necessarily crazy over trading this. You would hardly even, I look at it a lot, but for me to send out a signal is kind of tough. Alright, so AUD/USD, I mean, I kind of already had it mapped out the way I wanted it to go last year. So I get to say that now. But I definitely am just gonna go ahead and chart up something new. So monthly time frame. We can see that price rejected off of this RSI line pretty nicely. Said it again. I definitely do want to see what these two what this is gonna look like next month on this. Said it again. Level Pro. I want to see what next month is going to look like, because right now it's at ground zero, which is still saying that, hey, it's not confirmed for a buy yet. But usually my rule of thumb is, hey, once price breaks out to the upside and retests that RSI line, price can be continue to go bullish. But again, with AUD USD is kind of tricky. I feel like I want to see, not even I feel like, I would want to see a bearish push to the downside before before looking for additional buys on AUD USD, just because how long or how bullish it was with this bullish impulsive move. Because when you go into the lower time frames, you see a whole lot of green candles and a whole lot less red. And then when you do see the red, the price is just consolidating and moving slowly. So that is why I'm saying, hey, I'm more here for the sells. I remember when price had called this sell back in July, and I was like, hey, I want a retracement up here before I look to sell some more. I never got said retracement. It is what it is. Daily time frame is calling for a buy on AUD USD, and again, the way I wanted this to play out was, hey, I wanted the retracement to the RSI line before I continue looking for buying opportunities. So that's what I'm going to be looking for still on here. Let me go ahead and take this off. Give me 1 second. Okay, and then drawings. There we go. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for Australian dollar on the daily time frame for arbitrage. This lines up pretty nicely with that retracement for the sell, but I'm not going to necessarily play this sell call on AUD USD, although it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible idea. We'll see what happens when the market gets there, instead of just playing this out right now. I'm going to wait for this to make that breakout move on the lower time frames, like something like this, before trying to sell it, if I do want to sell it at that. AUD USD is not necessarily a pair that I'm going to be looking at for trading opportunities. It's just like with Euro USD, right? Unless some type of bigger move happens, I'm not really going to be interested in looking at it. All right. Going on over to USHEF. This breaks my heart, man, because I had a trade opportunity and it almost got hit. But let's not talk about that. We're just going to get a fresh chart, a fresh outlook on this. Remove drawings. All right, so monthly time frame is looking pretty bearish when it comes to USHEF to me. These three candles are not telling me that the buyers want to take over the market by any means necessary. Prices under the 50 EMA on USHEF. Yeah, definitely am not looking for any kind of buys on USHEF based off of the monthly time frame. Just by looking at it, that's an automatic no to me for any type of buys. Weekly time frame, I said it again. You guys see how many times only reason why I'm doing it on camera is so that when I go back and look at it, I'm like, okay, that's a habit I need to break, and then it'll help me psychologically. It's just stuff like that. But there's this zone that price is rejecting off of on the weekly time frame, and me seeing this is only saying in my head, hey, there's liquidity down there that price is more than likely going to grab. even though this zone is holding, I feel like this is even a zone that's gonna get wicked and then price goes bullish. This just looks like a zone that's gonna get broken and price is gonna continue pushing to the downside. Reason why I say that is because although yes, on the weekly time frame, this previous structure here got broken, which made me imply that hey, price is more than likely gonna continue, or it's gonna now it's gonna retrace, then go bullish, and then continue. It's gonna, sorry, let me just draw it out, right? Price is gonna break out, breaking the structure, retracement, then continue going to the upside, right? That's what I was thinking, and I mean, hey, it still is a possibility at this point in time. But the way how the market came down off of this weekly time frame, especially off of a evening star pattern like that, that's kind of pretty. That's kind of pretty. I'm not gonna lie. And then when the price retraced back up, it came into my fib zone. It rejected it nicely, gave it a nice double top with the long wick to the upside for this bearish candle, and then price pushing down right after. On the weekly time frame, at that, it makes me really question. Hey, is this really gonna go bullish here, or is price just gonna, hey, like I said, maybe it will do something like it draws like a wick to the downside to over here at 0.90539 and then goes bullish. It's a possibility because, like I usually say, that I said it again. That 23.6 fib is always an area where I'm gonna be looking for price to make a potential, like it might slow down there. Price might make a reversal there. Price might start to just retrace from these lows, come up, and then go bearish. But that's something I'm still going to be watching for nonetheless. I have to just know that that is a likelihood to happen because, again, this zone just in the past, when price came up to 0.93700, well, it came very close to it. Price came back down and hit that 61.8 Fibonacci level before going back up to the upside. So again, at this point, I would just rather want to see what price is going to do at 0.90561 before I make any type of moves on USHF. It's not necessarily a bad look, but again, I'd rather just wait for that opportunity to play out before I try to get into it. So that is with the, oh yeah, and one more thing, because I actually forgot and I only remembered when I saw arbitrage. I had to remember that I had drawn out this trend line right here, and I said, hey, if this trend line breaks, or whichever one of these two trend line breaks, that's where I'd be looking for price to be making the next move to, and it pushed to the downside as much as not as much as I didn't want it to. I was just like, hey, I wanted it to go a little higher before dropping, but it never did. So again, I'm just gonna USHF again. These USD pairs for me right now on the higher time frames, showing, I mean, not even showing, but give them me seeing any type of place for me to get into currently is like a no-go, right? Not even long-term, but short-term wise, I'd be like, hey, I want to take my time. Don't want to necessarily get into anything too quick or too fast, because if I do, then it's more gambling than anything. All right, I want to get crystal clear picture. So weekly time frame, price is just rejecting off of, let me delete all that stuff. Price was rejecting off of that upper danger zone at that mean line. I mean, not that mean line. It is currently rejecting off of the mean line, but it's currently under this RSI line as well. So I'm on the weekly, I'm like, hey, do your thing. I don't know what you want to do yet, Daily time frame, it just called for a sell there, but price continued falling. I would not have. Wait, wow. Everything was calling for that sell, even when price was consolidating like this. I don't necessarily like trading when price is consolidating, no matter what time frame it is. So there's that on UChef, and same thing on over here on the 4-hour time frame. Price called for a sell, everything lined up for it. You just needed a retracement, boom, push the downside. Although this was ranging, I would not have played that. I definitely would not have played that. Okay, let's go on over to USD Mexican pesos. Okay, so I had mentioned that with USD Mexican pesos, well, first of all, before I even say what I talked about, let's go on the monthly time frame. And me seeing this long wick to the upside on the monthly, and then a bearish candle right after it, it's not necessarily giving me a type of, hey, this looks good for a buy opportunity play. Because if we're being real here, the body closes. This is a bearish engulfing candle compared to this candle. We're talking about how the candle closed, right? But I do see how price was rejecting off of that 50 EMA, and then price went bullish right after that. That is hard to argue and say that, hey, this might continue going bullish, right? Very much possible. Weekly time frame, it took price a lot longer for it to come down rather than for it to go up like this. Just between these two zones, I mean, right? Or not these two zones, but this zone right here in between that, there's just been a lot more bullish. It looks like a lot more bulls were in play than the bears. But that doesn't mean that the bears should be taken lightly, right? Right now, price is leaving a doji candle on that weekly time frame. I'm not really feeling like trying to get into this at this point in time. There's still these equal lows that price never like broke down lower than 19.50 to clear out any type of liquidity down there, right? So I'm kind of still iffy. Not even kind of. I am still iffy about USD Mexican pesos. I mean, not again, but from these lows to these highs, price has been rejecting off of this zone for quite some time now, right? Price, and then right now, currently on the weekly time frame, it's above the 50 EMA. Daily time frame wise, it's under, left a wick to the downside on New Year's Eve. Wait, is that what it was? Yeah, New Year's Eve. And I wouldn't mind getting into a buy right here, right? I wouldn't mind for if it was just personally me, because I'd be like, hey, I'm okay with taking the risk, yada yada, all that good stuff. But prices already dropped down a little more, and then if you just draw out the fib a little longer, you can still see the zone is still being respected, right? So that's why I'm just like iffy on USD Mexican pesos, because if I want to see the DXY drop, I'm not necessarily trying to get into USD Mexican buys, because again, I want to see the DXY drop. So I'm gonna just leave it at that for now. Although I do see the 1 hour time frame calling for a buy. We'll talk about that right now. Monthly time frame on USD Mexican pesos is interesting looking right now, to say the least. I don't know when was the last time I even looked at this. But monthly time frame, price is just currently at that RSI line, and price is just like chilling right there at this point in time, right? It's not consolidating, but when you go onto the weekly time frame, you kind of see that that's exactly what price was doing. It was just in a big zone. Oops, not that one. That price was just in this zone, And once it broke out, but then it came right back in a couple weeks later. So, no. Weekly time frame, it looks like it's still bullish. Daily time frame, it looks like it's very bearish. I mean, price just rejected off of this lower danger zone right here, and yeah, I really do feel like this could potentially go bullish. But again, if I want to see the DXY go bearish, then me wanting USD Mexican to buy is kind of counterproductive. So I'd rather want to see this sell off at this point. But the 1 hour time frame is going for a buy, and I would be like, hey, break, retest, continuation. Even if you got into pricing right where it's at, it wouldn't be terrible. But again, I'm not really digging the looks of any of these USD pairs. I'm pretty sure gold has something to say. Oh my goodness, gold took off, man. I remember I looked at it like on Friday afternoon, or I think it was Friday evening when the market was closed, and I was like, oh wow, gold did the digital dash to the upside. So I had talked about me getting into a sell. I'd mentioned I got kicked out the sell. And I was saying, hey, well, at this point, either A, I get 1771, or B, I get 1841. And 1841 looks like it's the play. Said it again. I definitely I'm still looking for sells up here at 1841.460. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this. Go into the onto the monthly time frame and speak my piece. All right, so monthly time frame. Last month we had a very bearish month on gold, right? It looks kind of like a shooting star to me, if you will, but it's just that price didn't close with the body of the candle right there. But still, nonetheless, this does not look to me like price wants to continue going bearish. Like price is going to probably go fill up the wick a little bit and then end up pushing to the downside. Monthly time frame wise, we can definitely say that this is bullish, because the last time price was up at these gold was up at these prices was back in 2012. Back in 2012, that's when gold was looking at these prices. So that's why we can definitely say that this is bullish. Price even got higher than that at one point in time, over here at 2074. However, and I know people are going to hate me, but I would still want to, if price is going to continue going bullish, which, I mean, nothing can keep going bullish forever, that price will come back down to the likes of 1424 longer term before looking to push to the upside again. That's what I would say for gold might be going down right now. Going on over to the weekly time frame. Hold on, before I continue. Okay. I'm going to leave that there for a longer term type of view. Okay. So weekly time frame, we see that price is starting to it's not even starting to, it's been rejecting off of this 50 EMA for the past 2 weeks now, right? Said it again. There's a bearish candle or a bullish candle right over here that price has left the long way to the downside. It's kind of having me iffy, and I do see this trend line to the downside on gold, but I do also see it's whatever to me. I wouldn't really necessarily call that a trend line. I mean, that was until price broke out of it, but it's whatever. I don't even want to play off of those smaller time frame trend lines or anything like that right now. With gold, I really do want to see what is the next step after price had made this big drop right here. You know, price had made this, not even that. So overall, on a daily time frame, this looks to me that price is making lower highs and lower lows, right? Daily time frame, weekly time frame, it doesn't necessarily look like that, but on the daily time frame, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like prices making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So I want to see what price is gonna look like when the retracement of 1918.450 to 1676.579. What's that still gonna look like? Even though it's rejected off of these zones and then pushed to the downside, is it gonna come back up and reject off of this trend line? Is it gonna come back up to this drops Fibonacci level, which is what I had drawn up like a couple minutes ago? That's why I've been, like, a lot of people have been saying that, oh, I've been saying 1846. I still basically stand by that number for my sell opportunity on gold, but that's what I'm basically looking at for gold. Right now it's currently at the 61.8 Fibonacci level, and I still do want to see that 1840, 1845 pricing get hit on gold before I really start to say, hey, I'm looking for selling opportunities here. I'm going to set my alert there. I'm going to be one that I'm watching for sure this week. I want to, not even this, well, yeah, this week, because the way how price is looking, it might get there either tonight, tomorrow, maybe during FOMC minutes, or even at NFP. We'll see what happens. But I'm definitely looking for this bearish move over here. If price gets over here like at that 1860.2 and then starts to go even higher, man, I'll be like, dang, that's how we're doing now, gold. So that's Goldilocks. Let me go on over to arbitrage. Hey, dog. Monthly time frame. Price looks like it's starting to set up for a potential selling opportunity. Longer term, it looked like something like this. But yeah, I'm not too crazy over this quite yet, because if this happens, it's gonna probably take a couple of months, if not half of the year. We'll see how long that takes to play out. But again, I'm not necessarily gonna try to play that long-term play. Weekly time frame doesn't look that great to me either. Price is just consolidating on the lower time frames, so that means the daily time frame I wouldn't want to play it. Not really. Yeah, the 4-hour time frame is probably what's gonna be the most accurate in this current bullish move that gold is making. Like when it's really gonna say that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start dropping. That's when that'll happen. But I mean, hey, right now gold 1-hour time frame 1830, 1840, 1846. It's not that far off. I want to see what price is gonna do up here. Okay, S&Ps, man, oh man, making all-time highs. Making all-time highs. So, one thing that I have to say about these S&Ps is that, hey, they know how to move. 4-hour time frame, you can see that price has just been consolidating. I mean, I don't necessarily want to make any claims or plays off of this until it comes down to my buy blocks, honestly. Like this type of play. That's the only way that things will be right, honestly. What is a good volume level to trade? Depends on the instrument that you're trading. What do you are you mean based off of volatility? And if you wanted high volume, is that what you're referring to, Jessica? Because there are some good, I like trading pairs that have low volatility in them. I see no problem with that. But continuing off of what I was going off of before you answer your question, I definitely would rather just wait for longer term bearish push before I look for another buying opportunity on the US indices. That's been very good to me for these past couple of months, waiting for the drops to happen and then getting into um the buys when price makes the push to the downside, because again, these indices these indices they built to buy. So I'm over here like, hey, at this point, wait for a price to drop before trying to get into anything else. At this point, as price keeps making higher, I'm just gonna stretch this out. I'm just gonna keep stretching out the Fibonacci until it really stops. Hold on. There we go. So that's with the S&Ps. Really, I don't have much to say about them until they make a huge drop. If it's gonna hold here, then I'm gonna let it hold here. I'm not gonna. Oh, I just zoomed in and I don't like that. Man, I don't know how to zoom out. I forgot. Give me a moment. I think. Yep, there we go. Reset. There we go. But yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan at selling, especially when prices at those equal highs. If that's your jam, I mean, hey, by all means, if you're gonna do a quick scalp off of it, sure, why not? If you're gonna do a shorter term type of sell opportunity, I mean, this is as best as I can give you. But even this, I feel like it's a little risky because prices just had these all-time highs, and I would just rather wait for the longer term bearish move. But price could very well come up to like 36553.1 or 0.618 before pushing to the downside. That definitely would be a play to look at if this is going to drop, right? Yes, volatility IF equals that I noticed on the 4 hour, it could be 4K and go down to 15 minutes. It may say 100. I would suggest like trading like Euro USD, USHEV, Euro GBP, and this is just me answering Jessica's question about volatility. And I'll go ahead and probably, I would say, a lot of, I wouldn't say AUD and ZD as well. They're lower volatility pairs, and their spreads are pretty good across the board on different brokers. So that's why those are the pairs that I would trade those. The volatility I have equals, and I notice on the 4 hour it could be 4K and go down to 15 minute. It may say 100. Yeah, when it says those volume ticks, it's just depending on the time of the day and if the news is getting released. But I would definitely trade those pairs when it comes to low volatility, and not if you're talking about volume. But yeah, like I said, these U.S. indices, they're built to buy. I wouldn't necessarily try to get into any sells unless you know what you're risking. 4 hours time frame is setting up for a sell, but that's probably all about that you're gonna get with this at this point in time. Everything else is extremely bullish. So let's go on to the crypto, everyone's favorite. Well, not everyone's favorite. Gold's everyone's favorite, but crypto's coming good second. All right, so monthly time frame is looking scary. Before I talk about monthly time frame, I'm still in this trade, by the way. Ethereum kicked me out of my buy opportunity that I had talked about in the groups. That's unfortunate for me, but Bitcoin I'm still in this buy over here, but I'm gonna see if I can convince myself to get out, because I've been thinking about it for this whole weekend, to be quite honest with everybody. So remove all drawings. I'm still in that trade though, and I will let you guys know how it goes, because I did post it up in the groups, right? So Monthly time frame. This monthly is not looking good to me. This looks like a evening star pattern to me right here. And I mean, from this previous wick when price had made its previous all-time high, price never closed above that in 2 consecutive months after it's tried to surpass that. Those are not good signs to me for Bitcoin to potentially continue going bullish, right? So that's number one. That's number one. I don't like the morning star pattern. I don't like the fact that price never closed above 65,000 in a month. Let me go on to the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame, it barely closed above it for a week, and then it dropped right after. And even on the weekly time frame, we have the same bearish engulfing. Shooting star. We had a bullish candle. This isn't a doji candle, but it's definitely left a big wick to the upside, and then a bearish engulfing came right after it. So those are signs as well that aren't necessarily good to tell me that, hey, this is going to continue going bullish. This looks like it's probably going to keep falling, but price has rejected off of this 50 EMA, which is still a good sign to me. Like price, like down over here, it did fake out for a couple of weeks that it came under it, but it stayed above that 50 EMA. But now we might be getting that type of test again. From this bullish move, when price had made this lower high right here, or I mean that higher low, and then price made a higher high up here, price is still in this long-term swing zone, right? It's still holding here, but even the way how price has just been moving, like last week, there's not necessarily a bearish candle or a candle that's telling me that price is going to keep going bearish, but even the way how price came down here and then consolidated and is still consolidating, it's kind of iffy to me. But again, I do like the fact that price is still above that 50 EMA. 78.6 right here is interesting to me because price has just been consolidating inside of this zone. However, my issue with this right now is that, I mean, not even the fact that price has just been consolidating and it looks like it's rejecting that 78.6 zone and it looks like it wants to keep pushing to the downside. But, I mean, price came very close to this daily 50 EMA and then just pushed to the downside. This doesn't look necessarily to me as if the market wants to turn around on the higher time frames, right? And I'm not going to really give any type of input on the daily volume until I start seeing volume like this size candles or these size candles. Like when volume's looking like this on the daily, I'd ignore it basically. 4-hour time frame, it's kind of the same jazz, you know. It's like, hey, I definitely was expecting for price to do go bullish from this zone right here, right? I wasn't necessarily thinking that price was going to come and make additional equal bottoms down over here at the 78.6, but that's what happened, right? But overall, at this point, I'm just like, hey, from these lows to these highs, if price does really continues and breaks below 45K, then I think that at that point, I don't want to say it, but that might be a triggering point where price might start to really make that push to the downside. Because this is something that I had mentioned back a while ago when price had made this push to the upside on Bitcoin. I was like, hey, realistically speaking, from these lows of back in 2020 of March, back when price was at 4,000, to now when price came up to 64K, almost 65K, price never really came back into these fibs. These were targets that I had that I was like, hey, if price gets to these targets, then you might want a dollar cost average, right? I'm in good faith, this is just me in good faith. I can't, in good faith, dollar cost average at a high rate with Bitcoin at the price of $47,000. Because even if this got to $100,000, then I would just be barely doubling my money. You know, there's so much more cryptos out there that I could be investing in that could give me so much better returns than with Bitcoin. But if price comes back down to $17,000, that's a different story. That's a different story. I'll tell you that right now. Because even if price came down to $17,000 and then came back up to like its previous all-time highs of 68,000, that's a 305% increase. So versus if I were to try to buy it now and then it goes back to its all-time high, which is 46%. So, but overall, like I said, I'm definitely, if price is still holding above this 50 EMA, so that's a good sign. But again, if price drops below 45K, I'm not gonna be that crazy over it. Like, honestly, let me see. So overall, this still looks like a decent play. When you zoom into price and you see that price is still holding on over here, still looks like it's pretty decent. 40K, if 40K gets broken under, then at that point I'm just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna most likely see the likes of 21K or even 17K. That's just my personal prediction. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of signs that price is pushing to the downside, but no matter what, no matter if Bitcoin continues to keep pushing to the downside and the cryptos, we start going into the bearish territories, or whether or not price is gonna keep going to the bullish market. These are long-term. This is a long-term game when it comes to crypto, man. Because again, if price drops down, I mean for Bitcoin, if price drops down to like 21K or 17K, I'm totally fine investing in it. For me personally, right? I'm more than happy investing in it. But at prices of 47,000, not so much. Not so much. I'd rather go look for something else. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, with the way how this is looking, man, it's tough. Because price did come down over here as well from the lows of 28K to the highs of 69K. Price did come and hit that 61.8, like big swing level, and then pushed right back up. But this can just keep falling. We'll see what happens. RB, on the other hand, monthly time frame still extremely bullish. It's not enough data on it to give a proper rating on Bitcoin. I mean, it's only been on this Bitstamp since 2011. Weekly time frame, price is still above that that RSI line. Sorry, it's still above that RSI line, but I'm seeing these blue candles right here. Price had called for the sell previously, but then it said, "Hey, nah, I'm not ready to sell." It could be coming very shortly. If price comes under this RSI line and holds under, as of the next week, then I might be more bearish than I would want to admit. This daily time frame is what I've been really watching for on arbitrage. I was saying, hey, price breaks out, makes a retracement, continues. I'm here for it. I'm all here for it, for the buys. But right now, nothing's been confirmed on this or on the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame actually looks like it might be setting up for a buy, but it has to break out to the upside first. If it doesn't break out to the upside first, I can't play this. So it's literally basically this, not literally, but it's basically the same thing as with the daily time frame. And the 1-hour time frame isn't going to do me any favors because price is consolidating. When price consolidates, I do not like to play with the bands. So that's for Bitcoin. Ethereum, like I'd mentioned, it knocked me out my trade. I'm kind of irritated that now price is up in profit a little bit. But that's okay, right? Let me go ahead and delete all that. Going over to the monthly time frame. All right, monthly time frame. Bearish engulfing candle, looks like a shooting star. The price action, the fact that price closed above the previous all-time highs is cool for 1 month. That's pretty decent. But then same thing, I'm still seeing that. I said it again, but I'm glad I didn't say it that many times. I'm still seeing price holding at this level right here, and I have to say that me seeing that bearish engulfing candle doesn't make me feel that great. Happy New Year, Blake. Happy New Year, bro. Let's make 2022 real lit. But as I was saying, I'm not necessarily a fan of the way how the crypto market is looking for a rebound. I'm not necessarily that fond of the possibility right now, but it is still there. It is still there on the weekly time frame. Seeing a lot of like this up and down candle right there is iffy, and then price is just drawing closer and closer to the downside. I'm not really, again, that crazy over how the market is looking. So as of right now with Ethereum, hey, it's still holding at this 61.8, and it still has a lot more room that it could come to the downside. Realistically speaking, it could come down to 3,297, 3,129. There's still a lot more room for me to see Ethereum push to the downside, right? I had remembered when back in May, I had said that, hey, if you want to get into some really good opportunities on Ethereum, that you would probably want to look for something like this. It's really wild how Ethereum was so cheap over here, like $93, and now it's in the 3Ks. But yeah, I was saying that, hey, from these lows to these highs, price dropped down, came to the 61.8. Same thing. This, although yes, it came and hit that 61.8, it could still very well come and hit. Let me go to the weekly. It could still very well come down overall long term and hit 1,338 or 1,012. If price comes down there, I'm getting in there like swimwear. Because again, I'd rather be dollar cost averaging at a high rate, as in like you're putting more money in from right here for price to get to, let's even just say 5,500. Right? That's a 45% return versus if price really does drop and then you start to dollar cost average at a high rate inside here. Let's just even take 61.8. I mean, that's what a lot of people had did. They got in at this 61.8 and then price went bullish. You already have a 156% return. Let alone if price comes to 5,500, you 200% your money, right? So as of right now, when I'm really looking at these cryptos and the way how it's just rejecting right here, I'm not really necessarily a fan. And again, this bull market, well, not even again, but this is something that I've said previous times in the past. This bull market, when it comes to the crypto, is nothing like the past because there's so much more people, there's so much more attention towards it now. There's so much more projects being introduced to it now, etc., etc. So when I'm seeing all of that, I'm just like, the potential for this to continue going bullish, it still exists for sure. But right now, with the way how price action is looking, it's not that great. The chances are not that solid. The possibility for price to come down lower definitely exists. Said it again. Right here. 3,296.83 is something that I'm going to be looking out for. 3,300 basically. Something I'm going to be watching out for, but I don't think that I'm necessarily going to be If price does end up falling from here, I'm gonna probably stay away from the crypto markets, trading them leverage and margin wise until I see some different type of play action or something like that, you know? Oh, my bad. Let me go on over to Ethereum with arbitrage. Monthly, very much bullish. I promise you that. It doesn't have enough data. Weekly time frame, very much bullish, but price. This is, other than back over here in July, this is probably the most I've seen that price really looks like it might start to turn around on Ethereum on the weekly time frame. Daily time frame, price had been called for a sell all the way up over here. Hasn't called, well, hasn't even gone that much nearer that RSI line since Christmas time, right? 4-hour time frame, looks like we might be getting a buy opportunity shortly. Only issue is that price is not confirmed. Everything's not confirmed yet. We got the buy call. I would still need to see some type of retracement, and then for a continuation. And also, Level Pro and Arbitrage Z they're not calling for buys yet. So when it comes to Ethereum, I'm just like, hey, at this point, let's see what's going to happen. If price comes down over here to 3,758, I might take that opportunity there. Said it again. I'm probably only going to take that for myself, though. I wouldn't send it out to anybody. And we'll see what happens with Ethereum, because it could still very much come down to 3,688 before going bullish. So we will see what happens. XRP, I had called for a buy last week, or not even last week, a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, at this point we might as well move our stop loss to break even, because the way how this thing is moving, it looks like if it does come and stop us out, it's going to continue falling to the downside. Right now is the current spot where price is holding at, but I'm not necessarily paying attention to XRP either. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It is at a level where it can continue to go bullish, so that's a good thing to see. Just gotta be careful with it. Just be careful with the crypto market in general. But I do like the possibilities of these still going bullish. You know, none of them, they all look the same basically to me, right? If XRP, if it breaks through this zone, then I expect it to continue pushing to the downside. Like, I'm not gonna necessarily go super in debt with this. I don't even trade this that often compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But the point of the story is, like, these things, they still have zones that they're holding, and if they continue to hold them, then price is just gonna keep going bullish, and if the bigger cryptos, when we talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, if they're looking to go bullish, then more than likely so are the other ones. Weekly time frame on Ripple, I didn't even notice that it called for a sell over here. To be quite honest with you, I don't even know what I was looking at for me not to see this. This is the first time it called for a sell since since 2019, right? So this is going to be an interesting thing to see. It's already rejected off of that RSI line. Yeah, this is not looking that great to me. When I'm starting to see stuff like that, I am more than likely just going to take my profits from this and call XRP a trade and let the market do its thing. I'm not necessarily liking the way how the crypto markets are looking at this point. They do look like they're going to push to the downside. That Bitcoin trade, I'm going to stay in it because that was the analysis that I had. But I'm starting to think that if I should just start taking partial profits from this, because this looks more like, especially bouncing off of that 4-hour EMA, this just looks more like it's going to keep falling. So that's what the cryptos do. I'm going to let them do their thing. I'm not going to pay attention too much to them. I'm going to get out of XRP when I get off of this call. Bitcoin, I'm probably going to... I'm iffy on Bitcoin. big time. I'm iffy on Bitcoin if I still want to stay in it. I'll let you guys know later on tonight. Alright, so GBUSD. Remove drawings. Monthly time frame on GBUSD. Price is currently above that 50 EMA on the monthly time frame. We have, and I wouldn't call them tweezer bottoms, but I like seeing double wicks like that to the downside with the bullish candle that closes pretty nicely like that. It makes me think that, hey, okay, their price might be really bouncing from here. This looks similar to another pair that I was looking at. Anyways, I like seeing these weekly bullish candles, bullish engulfing. I like seeing that right there for GU with the weekly candle right there. I mean, at this point, I definitely do see that, yes, price is coming up to this 50 EMA, and there's also from these highs, well, from this lower high, I would say, to this low or this lower low, price is coming up to this Fibonacci zone. But the way how price is coming up pretty fast like that, I'm not so certain if I necessarily would want to sell right here. I'm gonna leave the zone marked up there just in case. But for me to say that, oh, I'm gonna hop into that, no, not necessarily. I'm gonna wait because the way how price is climbing up, especially on the daily time frame. Well, not even especially on the daily time frame, but just the mere fact that prices gave 3 white soldiers and then is continuing going bullish. I'm totally fine with not trying to hop in when price gets into the zone. I'll watch to see what it does there, sure. And if I see some price action that I think is gonna allow me to get into the trade, absolutely. But like I said, to say that I'm gonna necessarily hop into this, no sir. I'm gonna be patient, wait to see what price is gonna do at that 50 EMA, if it's gonna break through it or what it's gonna look like before I try to hop into any type of sell opportunities. Said it again. So that's with GU basically. I don't really have much more to say other than it is bullish and I would leave it alone because it can stop at any time and then retrace on you, or it can just keep going and you don't want to get caught up in the mix if you're not already in the mix. Monthly time frame, prices rejecting off of that mean line and off of the RSI line, but to the upside of it, it's been rejecting this upper danger zone for months now, so it's kind of iffy as well. Weekly time frame, said it again. Weekly time frame was bearish. It rejected off of this lower danger zone, and right there at this point, it's basically like, hey, we might as well be patient with it. With the daily time frame, I wanted the retracement off on this breakout. We never got it, so price is just going to continue going bullish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see 1.36476 by the end of the week. I really would not be surprised the way how this is moving. And so the 4 hour and the 1 hour probably are most likely bullish. 4 hour looks like it's setting up for a potential sell, but I would have to see something like this happen before I try to get into a sell. And then the 1 hour time frame is setting up for a potential sell as well, but I wouldn't try to get into the sell at this point. I'd rather wait for this 4 hour for it to give me some better confirmations in that 1 hour time frame. GA is just a whole lot of hot mess. GA is just a whole lot of hot mess because price has just been consolidating in this zone for so long. But let's go on to the monthly time frame and see what the higher time frames are talking about. So, first of all, first thing that I notice is that from this high to this low on the monthly time frame, price really came up to the 71%, came even close to the 78.6, and then fell right after that. That's the first thing that I noticed when seeing this on GA. I don't even think I've did a monthly analysis on GA in quite some time, to be quite honest with you. once I saw that and I see price push down to the 23.6, I'm kind of like, okay, at this point we kind of have to do the same thing off of this impulsive bearish move because of the way how this came down and retraced and then fell right after it, right? And so when I go over to the, well, not even that, on the monthly time frame, we still see that price is over the 50 EMA. There's a doji candle right after a bullish candle that's not that much engulfing, but it kind of is, in my opinion at least, to the previous candle. On the weekly time frame, we can see that the past month price has just been basically consolidating, but there is this bearish engulfing candle to these candles to the left as well. And if I go in a little closer, let me hide this fib. If I go in a little closer and I take this Fibonacci from the highs of 1.91495 to the lows of 1.81224, you can see that price rejected that zone very nicely and then fell. Right now it's currently holding at that 50 EMA. On the weekly, daily time frame, again, price is just really just consolidating at this point. And what I would really want to see is just for price to come up to 1.87700, and then I'll make a decision from there at that point. But until then, I'm gonna more than likely stay away from GPAUD. Like I'm basically off the market until otherwise, because the markets aren't really looking that great to me. So yeah, we'll see what happens with GA when it comes up here. But as of right now, since it's just consolidating like this, I don't even necessarily want to play the range. That's how much I'm just like, I'll just leave GA alone, because there's not really a range to play. It looks more like a triangle to me. And so if it's gonna break out to the upside, let it break out to the upside. So that's GA. It's going over to arbitrage. Pretty sure since it's consolidating markets on the 4 hour, I wouldn't want to look at the 4 hour or the 1 hour. The daily time frame is calling for a sell, but price is currently above the RSI line. When arbitrage does that, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to be patient with you because you don't necessarily know what you want, and that's totally fine. And same thing with the weekly time frame. Price is currently above the RSI line, but just because of this compass line, it's showing that it might be calling for a sell, and that's totally fine. But I wouldn't get into this until something like this happens, where you get the breakout, the retest, and the continuation. Long term, talking about longer term, right? I've already talked about what I would want to see shorter term, like in technical analysis. GBP JPY, this thing went bonkers last week, man, and I'm glad that I didn't necessarily go too crazy trading it. I was saying, hey, overall, after this move, I wanted to see a retracement happen before price continued going to the upside. But GJ, man, this thing did the digital dash. What I want to see now, basically, remove drawing, monthly time frames, is to see this monthly time frame not necessarily looking that great for me to necessarily try to sell GJ, right? That month closed pretty bullish right at the nick of time too, man. Like, it doesn't make me feel any greater trying to get into a sell opportunity up at this zone. Just calling it how it is, right? However, even the weekly time frame, it looks pretty bullish. Like, this doesn't look that great to me to sell. I'm gonna have to really look on the lower time frames for me to have a convincing sell. I mean, a convincing thought process to say, hey, look for sell opportunities. Because yes, as much as it is as much as it is in my zone right now. On the weekly time frame, I mean, not even on the weekly. You guys saw what the monthly time frame looks like. It just looks like, oh, I just covered up all of the bears that I was going to potentially have that whole month, right? But again, at where price is currently at is not necessarily a bad spot, but the way how price did climb up there really fast like that, it makes me have my doubts of trying to sell the market. So again, at this point I kind of had to leave the market alone and see what it's going to do before I start to say, all right, I'm going to start getting into some trades now. I'll see what the 30-minute time frame looks like. I said it again. Like maybe after London session, but trying to play this off right now is a no-go for me. I would rather, it dropped, retraced, continued to drop. It's cool and everything, but it's no go for me. I'll rather wait and see what tomorrow looks like during London session on GJ, quite honestly. Let me look at arbitrage. Weekly time frame had called for a sell, and I mean the sells aren't playing out. The price is just continuing going bullish. Daily time frame, take a look at the bulls as well. Same thing. Bulls came to play. 4-hour time frame. After the consolidating and price had done this, the first sell that it calls, I might not want to get into it because it might just be a fake out. And same thing with this 1-hour time frame. But again, I'm going to take a look at it and see what it looks like during London session. I said it again. All right, Euro GBP. First of all, I called a sell last week, and I'm still in this trade for some reason. But when I'm looking at this, it's telling me that I'm like my stop loss might have gone hit. And yeah, it did get hit. I don't understand how I'm still in this trade. So I need to update the app that I did take that L last week. Although we're here already. 75 pip stop loss on EG. But regardless, this is another reason why I don't understand why I always try to sell EG when it's been in this downtrend, if you will, because it did make a lower low right there on some time frame. It did make a lower low on the lower time frames, right? But let me remove drawings, go on to the weekly, and see what EG looks like. So EG is ranging on the monthly time frame. That's what this looks like to me. It looks like it's just ranging. So buy at the lows, sell at the highs. That's kind of what it looks like, but I'm not going to play that type of way on EG. It's been under the 50 EMA longer than it has since 2016, right? That isn't necessarily a good statistic. I feel like this is going to continue to fall, especially the way how GJ is looking like it's going to continue to rise, right? Same thing with GU. I feel like it's going to keep going to the upside, so I'm not necessarily intrigued in trying to buy EG until, at this point, I kind of have to wait for it to really break out, like extra hardcore to the upside, because it's just been disrespecting me hardcore for months now. You know, I'll get a good sell on it, but then when it comes to the buys, it'd be like, nah, you're good. We don't do that here. Basically, that's what it was looking like to me. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to EG at this point, I just, not even kind of, but I do need it to break out of this before I try to get into a buy opportunity. Like, it really needs to break that before I try to get into a buy. If price gets back up here, I'm more than likely going to try to sell it, because price is just making lower highs and lower lows. Like, price didn't even make a higher high over here. It left a wick to the upside, sure, but it didn't sustain it for a long time. So EG at this point is kind of iffy to me. I have to wait for the breakout. Hey Melissa, awesome. Hey, well, I'm glad we're glad to have you on board. I would definitely say that you would want to check out the app, and you would want to check out the videos that we have in the back office, and you'd want to start with getting started over there. But glad to have you on board. But with that being said, with EG, I'm gonna go on over to arbitrage over here. And if anybody has any questions, I think now would be the good time to start asking them about any of the setups or the trades that I had called, or I mean anything that I've gone over. On the monthly time frame, EG bearish. It's been bearish for months now. I would not have gone into this. I would have wanted a retracement, to say the least. Weekly time frame, Euro GBP, I would say that I would want to see the breakout to the upside. Again, it's basically the same thing as I was saying with over here on EG. I'm like, hey, I'm not really, this isn't looking, at this point, you got to just wait for the breakout, then the retest and continuation on that weekly. But this weekly has been calling for a sell hardcore since December of 2020 last year. So it's been calling for a sell for a year on the weekly, basically. Euro GBP daily time frame, same thing, called for a sell about 4 days ago. I really don't know why I don't know how I'm still in this trade, but I guess I should maybe escape? Question mark. 4 hour time frame, might be looking for potential buy opportunities, but again, with Euro GBP, it's kind of iffy. We'll see what happens, but this is what I would want to see for a buy opportunity on EG. And other than that, that 1 hour time frame, it's already played out, so I wouldn't really necessarily look to trade it. But with that being said, is there anybody else that has any type of questions or anything like that before I hop off? All right. Well, if that's the case, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. Again, Melissa, welcome. And like again, I would encourage you to go into the app and check it out. No, Melissa, I'm not calling any trades right now. I didn't see anything. This was just an analysis that I did. You would definitely be able to check out the trades that are being called during the day, throughout the week from us. That being said, I'll catch you in the group chat. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all for hopping on. Later.